You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The crew is here. Starting off with my man, Jay Morant. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Just trying to get this money while it's here to get.
I heard that, man. Get to that paper. I see the
capitalism.
forbidden fruit in your hand, too. I see. Capitalism.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. How are you, Lone?
Kinda.
Kinda. My man, Lonegevity. How are you, sir?
Doing all right, man. Thanks
Yeah.
for asking.
You see any ridiculous comments on TikTok or
None that I remember.
Okay.
So that's a good thing.
You didn't give any time out this week or previous week or anything?
I mean, I give a little bit of time every week, but
Nothing crazy.
nothing to where like I'm really paying attention.
Got you. I like that. You don't let it consume you and get in paragraph wars. I like that.
No, I try not to.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
You just can't.
I'm with you.
It's just too
That's
much.
what
It's too much.
That's what they want. They want a paragraph war. You know that, right?
Well, you know.
It's the egg people. That's what they really want.
Well, you know. Good for them, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they live for, I guess. DJ Jay Diff, what's happening, man?
Salutations.
You got everything squared away on your side of the...
Yeah, man, I got my beverages.
Okay.
You know, my kit. Remember I used to have my kit all the time?
I do remember the kit, yes.
Yeah, well, my kit is back in effect.
If you rock with us for a long period of time, you know about your kit.
Yeah, the kit is in effect. Remember you used to say you was Major 7th and you had the t-shirt to prove it?
I did.
You don't have the shirts to prove it
I still
anymore,
got them.
huh? So are you really Major 7th?
I don't know, man. The demand has gone down. It was hot for a moment.
Okay.
Then I realized what it felt like to ship and mail product over and over again. I was like, man, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
So, Lone, did you ever rock
It's
Fubu?
No.
Why?
This is not for me.
Okay.
What you mean?
Well, that's a good answer.
You went to the store. It's like, well, that's not for me.
Yeah.
It probably
For
would've-
us, by us. Oh, okay.
It probably would have turned you away if you tried to cop.
Probably not. I doubt it.
It's not how capitalism works.
That's
Right.
not how it
Sure
works.
ain't.
It is about the bag at the end of the day. So I saw a video on YouTube where Fat Joe went live and he was talking about the Hip Hop Museum and, 50th anniversary. They had the groundbreaking a while back and everything's about to pop this year. And a lot of the gentlemen that were a part of that museum and the groundbreaking are friends with Afrika Bambaataa,
How many of us have them?
the ones we can depend on. And those people are starting to get flack for being associated with him and the museum. I'm not saying it's in jeopardy, but he's saying he thinks it might go down that road in terms of protests as it relates to Bambaataa's history. We don't need to go down that road,
No,
but
we don't.
we know what that is.
What did David Sterling say?
David Sterling.
Donald Sterling?
Yeah.
He's got AIDS.
But my thing is with that, Fat Joe was not trying to absolve him from, that. But he's also saying that this guy is one of the founders of hip hop. And what's
I'm
up,
sorry,
man?
I'm just laughing.
See, this is the wrong time to
I'm just
laugh,
laughing
man.
because I heard it in my head. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's all right, man. It's all right.
He's got AIDS.
Hey, when you be messing with cheering and whatnot, then there's no holds barred. I can talk about you till I'm blue in the
actually,
face.
yeah, you trash. And we being honest, I agree with you there. I'm just saying, Fat Joe was not trying to absolve him from that. He was saying, there has to be some sort of line that's drawn because we always let people outside of our culture influence us as it relates to decisions. And him being a forefather in hip hop and all that, he's like, man, he should be mentioned.
I mean, it's I give it to him. It's worth mentioning. And
that was gonna be my question. Like, do we
Leave it at
mention
that.
and just get up
Nothing
out of there, or does he get
No, we
the
can,
same
we
type
can talk
of
about his contribution.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can talk about the Zulu Nation.
Okay,
We can talk about how, what he was doing, the positive things.
okay.
Look,
So for the record, nobody is saying that he should be like wiped away.
No,
because that's what Fat
no.
Joe was talking about. He's like,
No.
there are people that want to see him, completely just
look, I know a lot of people
disassociated with.
I don't know if you guys saw We Need to Talk About Bill Cosby documentary.
Yeah, I saw it.
And the thing is, I know there are certain people who are up in arms, that whole crew of people who'll be like, oh, they got to do a hit job and this fake black man, who did it, talking about, oh gosh, I can't remember the guy's name who directed it. But shout out to him because he did a great job. Like the
Documentary was fire.
Yeah, the first episode was really about a lot of the great things that Bill Cosby did.
True.
Because you cannot ignore his contributions artistically.
Right.
For whatever you think he did or what he's been accused of and what's been confirmed that he did, He also gave all that money to them colleges. He also put all those people through school.
And give it back.
Are they sending that paper back?
No, of course not.
All right.
They shouldn't.
Yeah. He also, had the #1 show on TV for 5 years in a row.
You can apply it to
𝐀𝐄𝐿 Bell. That was who directed. We needed to talk about Bill Cosby. Well, very well crafted. Because, like I said, it could have been a hit job on Bill Cosby, but it really wasn't. Now, don't get me wrong. They read him for filth in several places.
Nah, but it was a deep
Filth,
dive.
flying
It was a
filth.
deep dive beyond just trying to drag him for the whole.
No,
documentary.
because did you know literally there were no black stunt people in Hollywood until Bill Cosby insisted on it. They used to just
bro, Bill Cosby was
Yeah.
in movies when I watched the documentary that I had no idea about.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, because he had a lot of stuff that didn't work.
But I mean, people pick and choose who they decide that they want to give that pass to.
Yeah.
Just like when we talk about R&B music and what R. Kelly did. R. Kelly gets no play anywhere
True.
based on what he did on the other side of the music.
Right.
Now, he's essentially the same as these other people we're talking about here when it comes to their art.
Mm-hmm.
So why
they
do you
took all of R. Kelly's videos off of
Yeah.
YouTube.
So why do you think it affects some artists different than it does others?
Well, I think it depends on as it relates to the artist. I think who said artist is because Bambaataa. We were just gonna say this versus or comparing him to R. Kelly. You're talking about a all-time great artist versus a founder. Like to me, they're not. I don't look at them the same from a level standpoint. Great artist, great music versus a founder. Like founders are people where it's like, we have to tell them have them there in order to tell the story. Now, you could make an argument and say you can't tell the story of, R&B or whatever without mentioning Kells. And I might not necessarily
That's very true.
argue with you there.
When we talk about 90s R&B and
it's like Barry
to the
Bonds.
present?
It's like Barry Bonds, bro, with the steroids. It's like Barry Bonds, you could make a case for him being the best baseball player I've ever seen, but he can't shake that mug. I don't care how you put it. Like he's not going to go to
Pete
the Hall of
Rose,
Fame.
the same.
Pete Rose, another one. Great baseball player. He's not going to the Hall of Fame.
And both of them deserve to be there.
100%. Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer before all that.
Yeah, Barry Bonds, say you take 25 home runs off of his, just you retroactively say, okay.
Bro, he's still first ballot.
He still
It ain't
has,
even
he still
close.
has more than 500 home runs.
Exactly.
And that automatically gets you into the Hall.
You can't tell the story of baseball without mentioning Barry Bonds.
You can't take away his defensive numbers.
Facts, Golden Gloves, so it's similar as it relates to that, just in sports and pop culture. But
plus, he was hitting home runs against pitchers who were on steroids. So to me, it evens itself out.
But Fat Joe is looking at it from a standpoint of this might turn into rallies. It might turn into, people really trying to dig in on all of the guys that are associated with the museum that are friends. You know what I'm saying, with Bambaataa, and it might get ugly. He's hoping that it doesn't, but he said he's starting to hear some rumblings. So I don't know, man.
I'm saying people might feel a certain type of way.
Yeah.
Considering his allegations.
Sure.
And I'm not here to play devil's advocate and say such and such as allegations is worse than his and blah blah blah.
Glad you said that.
I mean, he has what is it, a molestation charge or something?
Multiple.
I mean, we're not charges.
Allegations.
I'm sorry. That's
Allegations.
good. Thank you.
Allegations of
Allegedly.
him
Allegedly.
touching.
He hasn't been charged for any of this.
He is
but
not.
No.
He also has not came out and say that he didn't do it, from what I understand.
No.
It's been very quiet on that end.
Super quiet.
So
I mean, also, I think it's because it's so long ago.
man,
it's
shit.
but
ain't
at
no
the same-
statute of limitations on touching the little kid.
I mean,
no, you're right.
we know
You're
one
right.
of the people that's beyond famous for mentioning this is my boy that's on YouTube, Hassan Campbell. Like he's someone that actually came out and was like, this is what happened. Like he's associated with that. So
See, that's nuts.
but it also goes back to what y'all are saying about actual allegations and stuff that is actually filed. So it's a great area there, but Fat Joe was just looking at it from a standpoint of, I'm not trying to absolve him for what he's quote unquote or allegedly did, but you gotta have this guy in the story. That was his thing.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
You can't tell certain stories without look, if you start really digging into a lot of folks,
Yeah.
I mean, and they did leave this in the movie of James Brown. As much as we love James Brown, he put his hands on more than one woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shoot, a lot of them artists in that time.
as much as we like, we're part of the reason we're never really going. People are like, oh,
I know what you about to say.
The whole Marvin Gaye.
I know what you about to say.
We're not going to get his biography because we'd have to, and God bless her, because I think Janice.
Yeah,
we're not going because the Janice years.
Yes,
is like R. Kelly beta testing. So,
or your local high school, because everybody went to school with somebody that was the same age as Marvin Gaye that was dating juniors and seniors in high school.
Look, let me tell you something. And the thing is, there was just so much. I listened to LL Cool J song. It was one of my favorite songs, Big Old Butt.
Oh man!
And there's a part it's the second verse where he's talking about went to the high school about 3:00. Try to find a cutie, ride much. Now, mind you, LL might have been 19 or 20 at the time.
Yeah, he was maybe,
but still, like
he wasn't the same age. Everybody know the D boys that was pulling on the parking lot at school on bars and Vogues, coming to take the chicks that you liked from you.
Exactly.
Why you got on the bus?
5.0.
Yeah. Why you got
Wrangler.
on the bus? You was watching your high school crush get in the car with somebody that was 25 and up.
Devastated.
Look, let me tell you something. And the thing is, the same women, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions. We're not going to do that. Try to blame women in accountability. We're not that kind of podcast. But a lot of the same women who are like, man, the R. Kelly, he's this, that, and the third. I was like, well, what about you? I remember you. I remember some older dude bought you a pair of pennies,
Air Maxes.
A pair of pennies. I know exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was a time where you knew all the really fine girls had an older boyfriend.
Yeah, they had Air Maxes and Gucci sweaters and Dooney and Birks.
You'd be like, wait a minute, I know I go work at that mall and try to get this money, and I know I can't afford none of that,
man.
And I see what you doing.
I got a cousin right now. I ain't gonna say her name, but she used to always tell me, "Well, I got small feet, so it don't even cost that much for somebody to buy me these."
No, let me stop.
Don't do that. Don't disrespect my family.
I'm not trying to disrespect, but it don't
Terry
work like that. Whether you get a size 8, a size 13.
Terry done disrespected my family reunion T-shirts. Now you talking about my
first of all, the family reunion T-shirts
once you throw it out there.
It's fair game.
First of all,
it's fair game.
Okay. You wore that T-shirt on the show.
Yeah. I did. Terry was like, "Look, it don't even look like Ohio.
Yeah, because it was so
Tennessee. It looked like Florida.
Yeah, it was a Tennessee ass Ohio.
Yeah.
You ever seen like the globe and seen how Iceland and Greenland are and how small Africa is? That's what your shirt was like.
Yeah.
It was a misinterpretation of Ohio, is what it was.
But long story long, you can't take Bambaataa out of the story of hip hop.
Okay. I could dig it. I mean,
just because, look, once again, everybody, I can't. You art, not the artist.
No, I agree with what you guys are saying. I feel like when you're telling a story in general, if you can't remove, there's certain people that you can't remove. My only thing is you just have to make sure that you do tell the truth, and we do tell a story.
Keep everything in context.
Yeah, and so. I think it's perfectly fine for people to protest it. Perfectly fine. If they want to protest it because they don't like it, they should be able to do that.
Go in there and throw white paint on his exhibit.
Tough.
But that's just part of it. He did that. So, he's going to make people upset, and it's people can be upset at that if they want.
Absolutely.
Is he still?
I agree with that.
He still part of the story? Sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? Are people potentially going to get backlash for including him? Yeah, but that's he did what he did, and sure, you probably want to include him in that. But at the same time, you're just going to have to deal with the repercussions of it, and it's it's not. I wouldn't be mad at anybody who wanted to include Bambaataa as a part of the history based upon the historic elements that he did for hip hop culture, but. Right. I know where you're going. There's lines to where you can do, and so once you try to paint him in a type of a way that is outside of his character, then that's where I think you're going to run into issues. But if you're just saying, hey, this is Bambaataa, he was responsible for this, and he was a part of this, and he helped create this, and then you just keep it moving, I think you're good.
Way.
Got you.
Yeah,
I can dig that.
Have that same energy for Thomas Jefferson.
It's
the rest
the
of
American
way.
way.
I mean, let's just keep it
why I
real.
say it's the American way, because literally, when you think about our history, everybody in history from the forefathers on was on that BS. Essentially,
there are multiple
You don't hear
examples.
a whole lot about that stuff, though. But
because they're trying to erase that once again. I'm not asking for any revisionism. As far as Afrika Bambaataa is concerned.
No,
just tell the truth.
Just let's acknowledge. We can acknowledge how he was there at the beginning, how it's called hip hop because of him.
True.
You know, and if you want to talk about those other things, I understand.
Lone, you said it best when you said, I'm not mad at anybody that chooses to go against this because that's their right and they have their right to feel a certain way about it. I get it. But I like that you said, you know, within context, you include him and just make sure we understand why he's being included and what he's being included for, and just leave it at that.
Everything's gray, man. Nothing is black and white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing is.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, even with the R. Kelly stuff, R. Kelly made great music.
True.
His stuff was a little later, you know, and the times were different. You know what I mean? Nobody's still playing Afrika Bambaataa music right now. Nobody's playing his music unless you're from the 80s. Okay? Those, you know, you might be born in 63 still playing Afrika Bambaataa, but nobody's playing Bambaataa like R.
Might
Kelly.
be overseas and breakers and stuff.
Well, that's
still
true.
used
But like
his influence is out there.
You got to understand.
The actual records, I see what Lone talking about.
Do you know how the transition from the regular part of the night to the point where we're going to slow it down was for years facilitated by the remix to Ignition, and we had to let that go.
Yeah.
Tough.
Zulu Nation was operating for a long time.
Yeah.
Outside of even listening to African Bambaataa.
That's a good point.
I remember they had a couple parties here.
Yep.
That's true.
No. Like I know people here who are
in the chapter and
was like, you know, Jay Moore, it's time to get down. And you know, right about the time when like I was about to be pretty much offered my invite, so, you know, because Bambaataa was going to come to the Jazz Kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, and then we had to be like, nah, we can't do this.
Yeah. No, I'm with y'all, man. Like I think we're you know, pretty much all in the same accord as it relates to this. But, you know, there were people that were really trying to get at Joe's head and saying that he was trying to wipe
some
away
people just don't
stuff.
like Fat Joe.
Yeah, that's true. He did say that too. He said if I wanted to be depressed, I'd go on Twitter and just look at my mentions.
Let's just be real. There's a lot of older people who don't get down with the whole quote unquote woke culture, quote unquote modern day, what they would call cancel. You know, we see him in the comments all the time.
You're right.
Like,
You're right.
A lot of these older hip hop head, you know, from the 80s and before. It's just what it is. It's who we are. It's just y'all ride super hard for people even when you shouldn't have. You shouldn't. So
No, that's
like,
Look, there's still women who show up and like who are putting money on R. Kelly's books.
Yeah.
You know
no, 100%.
You know, there are just people who are like, oh, they were out to get him. I was like, if they were out to get him, they'd have got him in 95.
Yo, there's mad videos you can go on
himself.
YouTube and search where people are sitting there for hours upon hours defending R. Kelly. Like you can go find them. I can pull them up right now.
Yeah, I mean, but there are people that, you know, eat their hair. So
you know, but then again, like this is the thing, because I start, you know, because you can go down to a rabbit hole. I start looking at paperwork. And I'm like, R. Kelly is not in jail for anything he did to them kids. That's the crazy thing.
That's tough.
It's irrelevant, but yeah,
it's he's in jail for, you know,
the boy
he
in jail
should be, but that's the crazy thing. He's not in jail for anything he did to those children.
To Lone's point, though, be in jail. All right, so Pete Rock is complaining about sampling. And this time it's not about sampling, it's about sampling current or, you know, records within a certain time frame. So Pete Rock says they are and this is just via the Instagram post. He says they're resampling rap and R&B records that was made 3 or 4 years ago. Crying, laughing face emoji. No digging for the hits. They're sampling what was already a hit recently. Laugh out loud, shrug emoji. This is on Twitter. Afterwards, the users came in and there were mixed responses, and they were talking about this is nothing new. Good Times was released in 78, 79, and Rapper's Delight was released in 1980.
Hold on, what does that mean?
I missed that for sure. But it says another person argued, does it matter? The new era mostly do nothing out of love. It's for clout and notoriety.
Yeah, there's some fact behind some of this, like without you even have to go any further.
They participation trophy babies is what this person said. They put for a quick buck and try not to make music that outlives them. Social media changed the dynamics of all things. So
yeah, it's obvious. Though.
People are lazy, essentially.
That's basically.
I mean, I understand what he's saying, and I actually kind of give him some kudos
on the sampling part.
On the sampling part, because the thing about sampling is people had went and dug and found these samples and made them hits, right? So then somebody comes in and just used the exact same sample that somebody dug up and found and created something. And a lot of times they don't even change it. Like, dude, Hitmaker, the one that's been talking crazy about Hit Boy.
Yes.
Like, he has no room to talk crazy about Hit Boy, because all he literally does is take songs that were already hits, sampled hits, and redoes it.
This is true.
So you're not really trying. It's a cheat code, essentially. that he's able to, I mean, there's loopholes for you to be able to get around. As long as you're paying the right people,
Gotta pay.
you can do it.
Yep.
But it's still lazy in a sense for people that actually produce and dig and find the samples. The sample game in itself is an art form.
Agreed.
So if I'm finding these samples, y'all know, y'all do it.
Yep.
If I'm finding these samples and I'm making it sound like this, even if we use the same sample and it sounds different, then okay, that's passable. But if you're doing the exact same way that I'm doing it and passing it off as a hit, like you had that ear for the hit, essentially you didn't have the ear for it.
This got weird for me a while back. We may have talked about this in, I don't know, X amount of episodes ago as it relates to sampling, but when I say weird, it's from a standpoint of me hearing the Drake records that sample stuff from Jodeci or stuff from, stuff when I was a teenager, we were kids.
Songs that are more than 20 years old.
Right. So I understand that. Good call, by the way.
That part doesn't bother me.
But that doesn't bother. But I say that to say, if I'm looking at it from a standpoint of a record that was a popular record or a joint that somebody knows that came out in 2019 that's being flipped,
Well,
or
who's really doing
2020.
People are doing that.
People doing it more than
Yeah,
I think.
doing it.
I think you
Look,
realize,
because
bro.
I remember Master P doing that. I remember when.
Give me an example.
Did it?
If them feds only knew, if your girl only knew.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
You got
even
me.
think that song was a year old when he did
Nah,
that.
it wasn't.
You got me there. You
This
said
has
Diddy
been-
Long.
This has been going on forever.
And once again, you
Like-
don't own loops.
No, you
Go
don't.
in loop, you don't own it.
I mean, the bigger conversation is if you're still sampling at this point, which is fine. I don't know. It's like that's just where we're at. I mean, everybody is sampling everything. It's the Wild West out here.
It is. It is.
And it's not like people now in 2023 are the first people to like sample samples. It's been going on.
Like,
It's been
remember
going on.
when, the next episode, it was maybe 3 years. It wasn't even, maybe 2 years later. And here comes Bag Lady. And we wasn't mad because that Bag Lady slapped too.
It did.
It did.
But it was produced by Dre, though.
Yeah.
Well, did he get credit? Because of
I'm
course,
pretty sure he
because
did.
that's not the version that was on the album on
Right.
Mama's Gun. So
Right.
maybe I have that
True,
mixed
true,
up. But I'm
true.
just saying the version we by and large know, it was the same sample. Like I said,
But for the argument's sake, there's very good possibility that it wasn't intentional because
The resample
No.
wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
there are
because they're
people
not-
who sample things at the same time.
Yeah, so like the difference is like when you literally go and you're just like taking a record
This was a
of
hit.
something
Yeah.
that is working and then you're resampling it in that manner. And I literally talked about this last week in my class. So it's like I don't suggest anybody do it, and I was literally telling them this exact same thing about how it's frowned upon in hip hop in certain circles because it does. It takes away the digging element that goes all the way back to where digging for samples came from, right? So I don't know, but but at the same time, it's like the game has changed.
It's
But long-
changed,
but
but
long-
it's still deflating. Like, I don't know. Have y'all been following the Hit Boy,
I've been following-
Hitmaker
I've been
beef
following
back and forth?
A
I've
little
been
bit,
following-
but not
Yeah, I
really.
haven't
So, I
paid
mean,
attention.
what's the name is talking mad-ish based on him taking these hits that were already hits
True.
and just redoing the beat the same way.
Hit Boys talking about
No,
this?
No.
not Hit Boy, Hitmaker.
AKA Young
Hitmaker
Bird.
saying
Bird.
that Hit Boy can't make songs for the radio.
Right.
When you're literally taking your whole formula from songs that made it on the radio already and just redoing it.
And not even flipping them. It's like
No, he's doing the exact same.
Exactly.
He's Diddy in it, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then who says that Hit Boy's even caring about trying to make something like that?
Yeah, you wouldn't do at this 3 hours with Nas if you were trying to get on the radio, and that's nothing. That's not a
He
slight.
just did an album with Music Soul Child.
Look, if you're going to ask me, like, number one, do I think it matters? And number two, would I ever do it?
Right.
One, I would never intentionally sample something that somebody else ever has flipped in that same type of manner.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to try to use the same loop that Pete Rock used and they reminisce of. Like, I would never do that
Yeah.
Right.
to that point. But at the same time, it's like, do I think that it's really that big of a deal? No.
Okay, here's a crazy one. Okay, and we're gonna get back into Just Blaze. Shout out to all of my Bink fans out there who.
Oh, they about
Who
to
have
be
been very
upset.
vocal.
They about to be upset for no reason.
Okay, the way he freaked, super freak,
Who, Just Blaze?
Yes, a completely different way than whoever produced Can't Touch This did it.
That's true.
Same song.
He chopped that mug up.
Yeah, he went nuts.
To me, that's not even a relevant conversation.
Just because of the way how different it is.
Because he approached it from a different type of angle. I've sampled records before in the past that other people have sampled, but I flipped different.
You flipped them.
Different way. Like it's trying
I
to
think
make
that's
way.
the whole point. I think of the conversation.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what Pete Rock's saying.
They're doing it the exact same way that somebody did, and I kind of G for that, man. That's whack.
I think a part of I agree with that. Actually, I think that's the biggest piece of it. But I think Pete Rock, being who he is and the era that he comes from, also feels a certain way about the fact of the digging part, because that's their era.
They
used to the digging. Like going to dig for. See?
No, I agree. The digging part.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I've heard them talk about stories when they used to go to hotels and they'd rent out the whole, lobby and just have wax in there, right?
Yeah.
And Q-Tip would be in there early and Pete Rock would see them and they trying to get.
Well, they didn't rent the lobby. But...
Well, no, but it was just...
whoever had the wax would be in there and just set up and people would come through and go through the wax.
And they talked about, look, I'm going to go in here and buy everything. It's got to do with an afro on it and see what I can find.
And it was like, I'm trying to get to it before somebody else get to it, right? It's the digging part.
There's a special episode in Hip Hop Elements where they talk about that.
Yeah, so
documentary.
I think, that's exactly where he's coming from. But the part about the, how you chop, how you flip, I agree with him on that.
Yeah, but at the same time, evolution. All right, cool. I thought it was Hip Hop Elements, but maybe it's evolution. Either way, what I would also say is that it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter because digging has changed. There's a whole new element. There's a whole new virtual. Like when I started producing in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
It had already changed at that point because I grew up with the internet. So throughout the 2000s and stuff, digging kind of changed form because
it's also more expensive to dig now because now vinyl is kind of a novelty.
Well, it just
and a lot of these people overcharge for records.
I ain't gonna hold you. In the early 2000s, when we all grown, but in the early 2000s when I was in college, I used to go to Goodwill. I used to go to thrift shops to find wax. Lone did.
You still can.
We can still do that, but I understand 100% what Lone is talking about. MP3s and music boards.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed. It's YouTube. Changed. It's YouTube. Like people sample on YouTube, and you can say YouTube doesn't have high fidelity, and you're right. But at the same time, like part of breaking the sound and that lack of fidelity is kind of a thing now.
Great.
Like people are screwing it up, and they're adding
a whole
cassette
style off of that.
There's plugins where you can destroy the sound even further. So it's like lo-fi became a really big thing, and the lo-fi sound became a really big thing, even not specifically lo-fi. So I don't know. To me, I get wanting to keep the roots of what digging comes from. There are always going to be people that dig, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it has evolved. It's absolutely evolved. So like from that angle, I can understand where Pete Rock would be
based off his era and where he comes from.
Yeah, but that's Pete anyways. He likes to kind of throw shade in that manner anyways all the time. And
but they're just producers out here that have no records in their house. And I know that would,
100%.
That would drive Pete Rock crazy.
Yeah,
100%.
Shoot, I'm looking to take all my records and rip everything off of them and get rid of them because
the clutter.
It's too much.
Look, I'm one of those people who's like, now I barely have any CDs. I have a few records and I don't have any video games. Because everything is, fine. The only thing is, it's like when I want, a certain game, I was like, well, I gotta buy the physical.
So you've turned in your both of you gentlemen.
Well, the only reason, okay, I take that back.
But both of you gentlemen have turned in your purist cards. Now everything is digital, and
it's just the evolution as a human being, in my opinion.
Right.
I feel like some people, like when they're a part, like Pete Rock, in my opinion, sometimes he's a legend. He's
100% legend.
He's a part of a certain thing. He's a pioneer in a certain level, right?
Facts.
So he's going to hold on to that because it's a part of who he is, right? And it's a part of what people define him as. In the same way that white people like to hold on to being racist because it's who they were indoctrinated as. But anyways,
it's who they are.
Well, that's a bar, though.
It's who they are in general, and he wants to hold on to that because it does define him. And so I understand where he's coming from, and I'm not calling Pete Rock racist. But anyways,
somebody gonna miss it though.
But anyways, so I understand where he's coming from, but realistically, why wouldn't you evolve? Because that's the name of the game of life.
As a creative, both sides will pull at you if you're of a certain age. Loop packs, sample packs, that type of stuff, as it relates to being a producer. Like when you hear RZA talk about, oh man, now you can just layer as many tracks as you want, or Manny Fresh talking about a SP1200 and how much they could sample and how short the sample time is. Like, I used to be like, man, I feel y'all, but it's evolution. Now, where I am as a producer, I'm like, I'm starting to see that there's so many more things that we didn't have access to that is a part of evolution. So to your point, you have to be able to make the adjustments and just understand that it's a part of it.
This is a human condition issue.
Yes.
To me, this has nothing to do about music producing. It's about humans not wanting to change because they get comfortable where they at, and when stuff around that changes and they finally got good at something, we don't want to evolve from that because we got good at something. So the only thing that doesn't change in life is change.
Yeah. Look, Manny Fresh, I think it was his birthday a couple days ago. And
yes.
They were still, giving him his
Primo's
flowers.
birthday today too. Happy birthday to Primo.
And he said, all those early Cash Money records that y'all love, because of the technology at the time, it's only 8 sounds.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And then he said, now with computers and multi-track and all the stuff now, y'all could have 100. I'm just saying, he said.
That's not an exaggeration.
He said, this is my challenge. It's like, go in and make something like what I did, life-changing.
With like 9 or 10 tracks
with
accessible.
only 8 sounds.
Yeah.
But it always look. This is the thing, and now it's a thing with producers. I remember when Serato hit.
Yeah,
and there was a real resistance to Serato by DJs that we all know and that we love.
Yeah,
because it's like, what? You mean you gonna play MP3s on your and plus there's also the culture of like if you were coming up through the ranks as a DJ, you'd carry records. Now don't nobody carry records. Everybody just thinks that look at my spot. People just think, oh, can I plug in?
Yeah.
When when the DJ is like, first of all, you didn't talk to the DJ, so no, you can't just plug in. And if you come from a certain era, like not arrogance, but
no, it is.
The entitlement, or maybe whatever it is where you see, we're like, oh, wait a minute, these people paid no dues.
Yeah.
To feel like they can be on my level.
They didn't pay
that's what it is. People can feel like they're on Pete Rock's level and have paid no dues, have not gone to no record conventions.
But the thing is,
have not had to smell the dust of old records and steal milk crates to put those records in. All you got is a solid state hard drive, and now you think you're me.
But at the same time, it's like he's trying to define what the dues are. Like, it's not that people aren't giving their due and putting in their time and effort. It's just they're doing it a different way. And that's what people like him in general, and the purists, if we will, can't get past, is because things change and they don't want to change. And so if you're not coming up in the ranks in the same type of way that he did, even though it doesn't make any sense to do that anymore, why would I go to a record convention when I can go and scroll through this list and buy all these albums from Spotify? It's still digging.
Not even spy. You don't have to buy them.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
No,
like,
no. I know
if
what
you
you're
want to
saying.
buy the high fidelity version of the song, you can, right? So you can still dig, but it's just like things change, and you have to evolve. And if you don't evolve, then that's if somebody's mad at it, then
like I saw.
I feel you, Lon. It's today's dues aren't yesterday's dues.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
Well, because you know what the dues are going to be. See, this is the crazy thing. Now Serato has a feature where it integrates with your title playlist.
Yeah.
So now you have a situation where like you don't have to organize your MP3s, and so because we had somebody try to come in and DJ, and but the thing is you got to have a nice stable internet connection.
Yeah,
he's trying to
open the doors.
But he was trying to DJ.
It's been out for a while. Not necessarily with Tidal, but like you've been able to use
SoundCloud
and things like
and not even have MP3s on an external or your internal hard. And I'm like,
do you know how many people DJs?
But people are going to be like, wait a minute, I had to gather a whole MP3 collection. But you just going to stream your mixes?
I feel them though, because
I literally just seen somebody make this post, and I took a screenshot. I meant to share it in Discord for everybody to see. This guy made a post. This is a local guy. He went to DJ this party, and evidently the Wi-Fi at this place was shady.
Yeah,
he wasn't able to DJ. So I'm in my mind, I'm like,
Why you couldn't?
How
DJ
are you not
without-
able to DJ just because you don't have Wi-Fi?
Totally dependent on the
It's
Wi-Fi.
that type of stuff right
I got
there.
you. I got you.
It's like you didn't collect your own music,
Yeah.
so you're relying on somebody else's Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Like I've been plenty of places where there is no Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
Like say I'm at doing a wedding or a
in a
special
basement.
event or something like that.
Yes. Yes.
And they want this one specific song, and then I don't have it. So let me see if I can download it. Oh, they don't have Wi-Fi.
Right.
I'm sorry, I can't get that for you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we still rocking. We ain't got to cut the party because you don't have Wi-Fi. But anybody that depends on Wi-Fi as a DJ, you are not a DJ.
This is when I knew it was real. I was talking to DJ Metronome about the possibility of taking a DJ class or whatever. This is when Lone had started, and right pre-Lone when he went to coaches and you spun that night.
Literally the last
Right
last
before
one,
COVID hit.
Then COVID hit. That's
Yeah.
it.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
that was-
literally
That's
that
how
was
sick his
BC.
mix was.
That
Bro,
was BC.
it shut us down for 15 months.
It was pretty decent.
Yeah.
That's really like a benchmark in history, bro. It's like that's associated with COVID for me. Like this last time I was coaches and it was normal until everything opened back up. But
BC.
I say that to BC, but I say that to say I remember telling Lone, I was like, yo, man, Nick said I might be able to get into a class and pay the bread and do what I got to do. I know you're going to let me hold that hard drive. Lone literally Lone looked at me and was like, look, man, you my guy.
Yeah.
But this is my collection. Like, you're going to have to go through
Hey,
the class and earn your
listen,
way up
come on,
until
man.
you get access to.
I had
And I wasn't
somebody-
mad, though.
listen,
I wasn't mad, though.
I had somebody
I don't even remember
ask
saying
me.
that.
It was in the front room. Don't worry about it.
I had somebody ask me that wanted to start DJing if they could have all my music.
Yes, that's disrespectful.
And I was like, are you serious,
Yep,
dude?
that's disrespectful.
Like, I'm like, no, absolutely not. So I'm supposed to just hand all of this over to you because you woke up today and decided you wanted to DJ.
And Lone didn't play me. He just was like, nah, man.
There's one thing to ask for a folder
Yes.
or some music.
Yes.
But to literally ask somebody for, let me get all of your music.
Because that's
And I asked-
your edits, that's your
Come on.
intros.
He's not going to
Get
remember.
outta here.
He doesn't remember it, but Lone was like,
my
yeah.
cue points too.
Lone was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can get you, get you a starter kit, but
I feel like
my
something-
whole.
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
you remember this? You don't remember this?
but to me, with what I would say was like, why it's not just like my music is not just songs that I'm going to DJ.
Right.
It's everything.
Yes. Exactly.
Samples, everything. And to
Exactly.
be honest, I don't really care. I think what I probably would have said is you got to get a hard drive that's like a terabyte to fill it up, and then you're still gonna have to go through it. And
No, you didn't play me, bro. I'm just saying, like I saw it in your eyes where it's like, yo,
Now, this
is my.
there's an area.
I don't really care though.
There's a line
okay,
of
well,
sharing
can I have it
and there's
then,
a
if you
line
want
of
it?
getting over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I feel you though. T.
I mean,
feel you.
shouts to DeCarlo. He hit me up on Saturday. I ain't talked
Yeah.
to him in a minute. He was like, "Hey man, I've been looking for this Jay Pinder song." Shouts to Jay Pinder from
Yep.
Seattle, I think.
Yep.
And shouts to 𝐷𝐿 because he actually produced the record. And he was like, "I saw this link from bringing down the band days." He's like, "But the link's dead because it's SoundCloud and it's not up anymore." So like, "Do you have this?" I went back through my blog archives of all the music
Yes,
that I
sir.
saved because I saved everything from the blog.
Yes,
era,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Which kind of makes me want to maybe.
You probably got
I
some
have a
heat.
YouTube. I have a YouTube channel just for bringing down the band music. I might start just sharing blog era music on there that maybe doesn't exist
You
anymore.
probably got some heat.
I got a lot of stuff. So I just went through my hard drive and I had that record. So I sent it to him. But it was just like, can't find that record anywhere. You know what I
That's
mean?
crazy.
I've always, as a creative, you have to respect. I understand where P Rock's coming from because you
That's
have
the
to.
new digging.
That's the new digging, yes. So I know Terry's hard drive is stupid. I already know that because I know how he DJs and how he spins. And any of my friends that DJ, I'm always, when I have to do this and look at the laptop, I'm like, what is that? So I know y'all be in the crates. I know people had that heat.
I would much
So just respect it. That's all. Just respect
I would
it.
much rather just give you all my music than give you a folder though, because I don't want to go through and pick songs and stuff. And I
Well,
don't,
you're doing it from a different angle though. So
Yeah.
like a lot of my stuff is specifically for DJing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
especially on my laptop.
my stuff is literally just
Yeah,
organized folders.
you have organized music. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, you've told me I can come over and get whatever I want.
Yeah.
He's so
But as a
organized. I
DJ
hate
though, if I'm handing you over crates of music,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
different.
That
totally
heat
different.
though. Yeah, I understand.
Because I've already sorted through this and was like, this is what I use to
Yeah.
play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just want to take this?
Yeah.
Nah, it doesn't work.
So
that
I'm
way.
And then you're gonna take my gig.
yeah, it's like you really about to just get out the gate and be hot based off everything that I've sorted. And you
Yeah.
might mess around and be hot or you might be trash, but either way, I get it. Like I understand, but just respect the craft. At the end of the day, that's the lesson, and be able to evolve. Understand the concept of evolution. Let's see, Long, can we shout out? We've been talking and having good conversation. I ain't even think about our good old partners.
Sure, let's see if we can find some partners to talk about.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Printfinity is a screen printing shop based in Indianapolis, owned and operated by our own DJ Jay Diff. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member for as little as $3 a month. All details on newoldheads.com.
Good old Ja Rule.
I've been waiting for the time where we had to come to Ja Rule.
Yes.
For the answer.
What does Ja Rule think at a time like this?
What does he think, man?
So
what are we
check
talking
this out.
about?
Check this out. Ja Rule was asked via TMZ Sports about I'm gonna cite my sources now, as it relates to Ja Morant, who's been in the news ever since he had that thing on him, about hip hop's influence.
I don't know if holding it with 2 fingers is necessarily having it on you.
He had that bread though.
I mean, he plays in the NBA.
You're right.
Anyways.
Anyway, thank you, Long. I need to get refocused.
Why does it make me laugh whenever it's like, this is what Ja Rule had to say?
Yo, shout out to Lupe. No disrespect, bro. All right, man. Y'all
It
listen.
just makes me think of Dave Chappelle out of time.
Yeah, it's
Go
hard
ahead.
not to.
Y'all listen to what Ja Rule said as it relates to Ja Morant.
Yeah, tell us what Ja Rule had to say about this.
And his influence from hip hop. Y'all listen.
Hip hop is very influential. You know, I've done things in my youth because of hip hop. You know, Redman made How to Roll a Blunt. He started smoking blunts. You know what I'm saying? Snoop made gin and juice. We started drinking gin and juice. I mean, so hip hop is very influential. I'm not gonna say it's not. How far people take it is what it is. But the thing with Ja, I just hope he has better people around him and just let him know that ain't the way. You know what I mean? Go play ball, man. Do you, man? The streets ain't about nothing, man. Go grind on them, keep balling. Just that's it, man. We all make mistakes.
Basically, he used Redman, How to Roll a Blunt is what he said, and gin and juice. He's basically saying that hip hop is influential. Now, here's what I wanted. Here's what I wanted Ja to say. I wanted him to narrow it down to a certain area of hip hop, because to me that's a broad statement. Oh, hip hop is influential, and that's the reason why.
We had a pretty good conversation about hip hop and influence a few episodes ago,
bro. But it's like
that wasn't it though.
No, that wasn't it. But I'm just saying to me that's irresponsible. It's like had he said, okay, drill music is one of the things that I think may have contributed to it. You said
that's not any better though.
I think it is.
Not really.
In my opinion, I think it is, because to me it's irresponsible to say hip hop as a whole.
It is though.
Nah.
It is
because
influential. We literally had this conversation and had speaking points and things on that nature. It is at the end of the day, but that's not the answer to this Ja Morant thing. Personally speaking,
okay,
I don't think that's the answer. I think he's just having an identity crisis, and he has a lot of money.
Okay,
and he can do
what he
thinks he wants to do.
Okay,
and that's not the case, and he's getting a rude awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's all this is.
Is that all that is?
That's all this is with Ja Morant, in my personal opinion.
All right, fair enough. Go ahead, Long, because I saw you shaking your head early.
I don't even remember what I was going to say, but it was based upon what you were saying. But I'll think about it.
All right, I'll come back around. Jay Moore, jump in, man. Talk about Ja and just that's broad. That's broad, bro, in my opinion. But go ahead. What's your opinion?
I'm not trying to hear. I don't want to hear no excuses for Ja Morant's behavior.
That.
When you are entitled, and a lot of times people are entitled based on nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Ja Morant is entitled based on the fact that based on his talent, based on the fact that he's got a max contract. He did have a Powerade deal.
Fumbled that.
And so you give all this to someone who is 23 years old, they start to think they are invincible. And a lot of the hardest part about it, and this is where me being as old as I am, like I said, going into going to my 46th year almost, I'm closer to 46 than I am 45 at this point.
Yes, sir.
And this is where a lot of times we say Stephen A. Smith and he gets mad and he sees these things. When you get to be a certain age and you see young brothers messing up generational wealth over foolishness, it makes you angry and it makes you say things that may be a little out of character, but it comes from a place of like, come on, man. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's no problem if you are a young, rich man and you want to go to a strip club and be with your shirt off. Cool. But
that's what happens at strip clubs.
Yeah, you know, but you got, first of all, I saw the video with him in the 20, and I don't want, and the thing is, I know some people minimalize, because it was a 22. Let me tell you something. A friend of mine, if he'd have been shot with a larger caliber weapon, he'd probably still be here.
Wow.
You get hit that 22,
it bounces around, and
yeah,
and it's still a gun, y'all.
Yeah. Yes,
it's still a gun.
Yes.
All right. I'll just say it like that.
Yes, sir.
And when Ja says hip hop influences, our young people, what about all the times, in recently in hip hop, there's been talks about generational wealth, talks about mental health. And we're going to skip over all that, and we're just going to automatically go to the part that's talking about guns and smoking blunts. And, I've taken a lot from hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Not all of it good. You know what I'm saying? Because, sometimes the reason I even tried Hennessy is because I heard,
Tupac?
Tupac was the one
not
that
just
I heard.
him. Everybody was round about Hennessy. And I was like, okay, I got to see what this Hennessy is talking about.
True.
At one point, like if it was getting rhymed about, from Hypnotic to Ciroc to at one point people talk about yes, exactly. They was giving away free advertising, but they also talking about, hey, we wearing Timberlands.
I'm not gonna cap. Those St. Ives commercials was dope.
Come on, man.
We wasn't even close to being able to.
Hip hop is one of the most influential things that ever was created,
and it's times 10 now.
With what Ja Morant did.
But Ja Morant, you know what I'm saying? Because I
agree with that.
And also, you can look, Steven Jackson. Shout out to him. He talked about when he was here with the Pacers.
Yeah, I brought it up last week. On the show. He literally just said it.
He was like, "What we were doing was way worse."
Man.
But also, we didn't have social media.
Yes.
We didn't have social media, and information didn't move as fast. So I mean, I in a way, I do see where Ja Rule is coming from, but at the same time, like a lot of times, it's about what you as an individual want to take away from hip hop. When I didn't become a vegetarian, but when I heard, in my philosophy, when I heard KRS-One said no chicken steak or hamburger, that's suicide. I at least looked into what it was to be a vegetarian. When I of course you're not gonna hear about him in school. You don't hear about him.
Yeah.
When Chuck D was like, don't tell me about Farrakhan until you hear the man.
Yeah.
Like I was like, well, who is this and why? You can take what you want from hip hop.
Bro, hip hop is influential, dog. Doggy Style is one of my favorite albums of all time. If you talk about the subject matter on Doggy Style in the year and line it up with how old I was when Doggy Style came out, there's no way I would have been thinking about doing anything that was on Doggy Style. And I love that record.
You couldn't wait till you could do the things that was on Doggy Style.
That's different. Right? I'm talking about as it relates to when the album came out.
Yeah, I can.
It's like, I was so far away from the lifestyle that Snoop was painting on Doggy Style, but I loved the album, The Chronic.
No,
I love the album,
but
bro.
I can hear all these stories about we ride in B's and H's, but also I had parents that took me to church. I still had a healthy respect for women, black women in general.
Yes,
I wasn't out here trying to live that life and put my D on different women's foreheads, and you know what I'm saying?
You a lie? Yes, she was.
What I mean?
You pointed too. He pointed.
First of all, if I did, it was consensual.
Okay, thank you.
It was in the confines of a respectful
the new old heads
situation.
definitely are about being.
But you know what? Like,
Look at Lone. We just want to put that out there. That's all.
What I'm just saying is like, if I because I was listening, if I think about how I listened to NWA's second album.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Their second full-length album.
Second album was nasty.
And if listening to that as I was like 14 or 15, if I didn't have some sort of balance and some sort of like, situation in my life, like
if you didn't have that balance,
it
right?
would have
the key word is the balance.
It would have warped my mind.
Listen
to because you listen to some of that stuff, you'd be like, bro, it makes one of the scenes in Straight Outta Compton extremely funny to me, because the part where like they played No Vaseline, and Jerry Heller's like, we gotta get serious,
and Yellow was laughing about it,
and he
Yellow was like, dang, he really getting us.
But that's not the funny part. He's like, all this anti, I'm gonna get my friends at the JDL, but then it's like, wait a minute.
It's cool for us to talk about each other but when you start talking about you, then it's a problem.
There is lines on there talking about having sex with underage girls and straight just sexual assault.
True.
But as soon as you hear something, something that offends you a little bit, we're gonna rally up and get behind this.
Bro, Appetite for, I want to make sure I got it right. Appetite for Destruction, is that the video where they have
they rob the bank,
the Tommy guns, and they come into the? But bro, that beat is so. I used to love that record, bro.
But the thing is,
think about the lyrics on that record.
That's one of the more mild songs.
I agree, but what I'm saying is,
when I think about that album, when I think about that album, sir,
my parents were
right.
Had
a song on there called.
I know what you're about to say.
She Swallowed It.
Yep.
No. That's not even the worst.
That's not the worst.
It's
but
not
I'm
the worst.
saying, but there was a song on there called She Swallowed It.
There was a song,
and when you listen to that song,
yes, sir.
As
I'm
an
grown
adult, and listen, I'm
like, this was
dang,
awful.
This is crazy.
Facts.
No, I listened to like
Facts.
There's a song on there. I don't know if it was.
I'll still bump it though,
because
you
sonically,
do it now.
No, because you know why? Because sonically, that might be some of Dr. Dre's best work.
Facts. Yeah. Go
But
back and
the
listen.
fact that there's a song on there called "Find 'Em, F 'Em, and Flee."
Yeah.
True.
The flip they did to Bootsy's "I'd Rather Be With You," why they flipped that was a little different.
There's a song on a skit on there called "To Kill a Hooker."
Yes, there is.
Long.
Hey.
Now, after some time has settled and the dust is settled,
a lot of people wanted to be pimps after that album.
Facts. Have
just
you formulated
women up? That's what they wanted to do.
Any thought based off the conversation and the soundbite that I played and what I said initially?
I'm looking at this statement here. It says the rapper agreed with Patrick Beverley's take that rap culture drove the Grizzlies star to act recklessly and hedonistically.
Yes.
And I would
so
say,
we're listening to Pat Bev now.
Well, that was his reference point, but Ja Rule agreed with him.
Is agreeing with him.
Yeah, he agreed with him
on that. And I would just say, kind of to what Jay said, and going against kind of what you said, because you said that, well, drill music is so much worse.
When I say so much worse, just to clarify, when I mentioned to you, I said there are levels to influence, right? This is what I believe. There's levels to influence. I'm not saying we didn't come from an era where stuff is bad. I'm not that person. But as the number of rappers that I see that are passing away as it relates to when we were kids to now, I just think there's a direct correlation to that sector of it being worse. That's just my personal opinion as it relates to influence. Okay. That's all I'm saying on that.
But what about, again, so I would say, all right, what about the influence from the great rappers? Or what about the positive influences that are being taken even from those same songs?
From the same records?
Who knows? I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is like we can't, when we individualize it. I don't know if I agree. Look, anecdotally, we talked about this last week. There's a difference, like between. I'm not going to get into crazy politics stuff, but or systems or anything like that. But there are systems in place, and in general, if the system of music is to influence people, there are going to be all sorts and different types of influence within that. Agreed. There are going to be anecdotally, meaning individual types of one-offs that have influenced something. Sure, in this particular instant, Ja Morant, maybe he listened to something that inspired him to act reckless, or maybe it was an entire genre or a specific part of rap music or whatever, right?
Right.
But at the same time, there are people that listened to that and did not get influenced to do that.
The rest of his team.
That's fair.
And so it's like the real conversation here is, I feel like the argument that you're kind of placing, you're kind of tiptoeing on, is more so it's a dangerous slope to be on, because you're saying that art is almost responsible for what somebody is doing, when realistically the responsibility should lie on the person and their people around them. Just like if you're a child, it should be on the parents or the Friends and all that other stuff like that, because there are violent movies out there that he's watching as well. You know, like, so it's just the balance aspect.
I'm not mad at that, because I had this conversation with someone else outside of us talking about it now. And the one thing I did say is I would love to hear from people that have children that can kind of speak on it from a parenting standpoint. That I can't. So when you talked about parenting, you talked about the people that are surrounding people, I get that part. So I understand what you're saying.
But I don't think it's just parroting. I think it's just who we're around and who we influence.
Clarence had good parents.
If I'm around Terry all the time,
right,
and I'm constantly talking about robbing people, my neighbor, and
stealing,
asking if he wants to join in with me, and then one time he randomly does, versus me, who is just like, hey, do you want to come over and play video games? That's more of an influence than some song we listen to.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, it's like, so I feel like there's levels of it. And maybe my metaphor sucks, but
no, I follow you.
But when people decide they're gonna, you know, invest in real estate, start to look at the stock market, and they're going to do right by the woman that they married, are they going to say, "Oh, well, we got to blame that on 444"?
Well, that's positive though. Positive doesn't sell.
At all.
People that take the positive messages out of hip hop, those aren't provocative enough to raise an eyebrow. It's always the negative connotations, and that's with anything in life. Nobody ever talks about the good stuff.
That's a fact.
It's always the bad stuff that makes people want to talk about it.
To sell. But that does not mean that one, this music's not being made, and that people are not still taking from this.
No, definitely
you know
not.
what I mean? So like, even though we're sitting here like we're talking about the type of music that Ja listens to, which I don't even know what music he listens to.
Sure.
Or even specifically drill music.
Sure.
Who's to say that more people, this is directly to Terry's point, more people aren't influenced by the positivity of something J. Cole said or something, right?
Right.
They just don't talk about it. Because it doesn't sell. So the stuff still happens, and hip hop is still positively influencing people. It's just, like to Terry's point, it doesn't get talked about because it's more easy to focus on the negativity, because the negativity of the aspect of everything is what people turn to because it's conflict.
And I don't think I clarify my initial point.
You just couldn't wait to say how much you hate drill.
Well,
That's why you wanted to blame it on that.
But I've always said that, though, to be clear. Like, I've consistently said I don't listen to drill music.
Yeah, but people from the outside, when they hear drill music, it's like, oh, more rap music.
Yeah, I've always been on that side. But to his point, that's true. But I said it to say, initially, it was, the reason I said it's a broad statement is because of what you're saying. There are so many levels of it. So that's why I was like, I kind of wish he would have said, instead of just saying, he used those couple examples, I took that as if it's like hip hop. Hip hop is so influential, and hip hop is the reason that Ja did this, and this. It's like, nah.
Ja Rule fumbled his one and only time where we came to him for the answer. And we've been waiting for this day all these years.
Yes.
And he just missed his opportunity
just dropped
to say
the ball
something that was very meaningful and meant something.
Yes.
By just copping out, man.
But
I
also
hate that for Ja Rule.
But you got to remember, Ja Rule he's old now.
He's old.
He ain't that old.
He
older.
He's older now.
Yeah,
and like that's how he sees these young boys.
To kind of close it out, I'll just say, like, I don't. Even when we talk about specific, I feel like we give too much power to and it deflects too much away from other type of conditions when you try to blame the art. And as somebody who makes art, it's all very contextual. Even drill music, I'm sure, I'm sure there's some stuff out there that's literally just shock value, right? But I don't want to label the entire genre like that, especially when it's realistically, for the most part, documenting. So I feel like there's a difference there, and I think it's important to.
I like the context. I get it. I understand. I like the context. I like how you're framing it. So I'm not mad at that. And there may be levels to, there's probably multiple levels to each faction of hip hop in each part of the genre. So I get that part. I'm not mad at you there. It's just, I guess I just try to tie it to the results and what I see, and some of the stuff that I see as it relates to these deaths and these kids is just, that's my angle for it.
You're
but
Clint
I totally
Eastwood and El Camino.
Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Don't be
but-
that guy.
Don't be.
Or no,
I'm sorry.
No, what was that?
L-
Is that
Gran Torino?
Is that what it is?
One of
Okay.
them cars.
That was an awesome movie.
It
by
was
the way.
pretty
It was pretty
good.
good.
Yeah.
Either way, I get what you're saying, bro. So I'm not.
I mean,
here
it's just
to-
like,
I understand.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
This is him. Every time you hear a kid coming down the street bumping drill music.
I just
Those damn kids.
Hey,
This
get off.
him.
I'm get off my lawn when it comes to that, bro. I'm openly that way, man. I can't listen to it.
But
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
But I
that.
think we have to look at it from the bigger perspective.
Yes.
Always when it comes to art and always when it comes to those stuff, because it's so easy for people to pivot and to take hip hop and to make it
Blame
this
it on
evil
that.
thing. This
Yeah.
evil thing. And so like this to me, Ja Rule's like even Pat Bev, like it's like they're
passing the
falling
buck.
for
Can't
the
wait.
okey doke almost.
Man, this
Passing
is
the
a
buck.
young man that has a lot of money.
Okay.
He felt entitled. It goes back to entitlement to me.
Exactly.
It doesn't have any. You could take hip
entitlement.
hop completely out of it. It
has
just comes
nothing to
down
do
to
with hip-hop.
entitlement.
Now I'm with y'all on that. I'm with you. I'm just saying as it relates to
Like
Ja,
what they
that's
gonna
all.
tell me? I'm gonna be in here with no shirt and a gun and throwing.
And-
I threw $50,000.
I'm rich.
I threw
I got my-
$50,000
I got
on
my
the
feet
ground.
on they
Y'all
couch.
can't tell me nothing.
I'm telling you, got
I mean,
my
what-
feet on their couch.
I like what inspired me to drink water today. You know, like it's
It was drill music.
yeah, it's not. You know what I mean? Like it's not like one thing. It's not like one specific
Donald
thing.
Sterling
you know,
that
like
did it.
why am I eating sugar right now? You know, like it's like why do I make any decision? Like to minimize it down to like one specific thing is just
He wanted to do
It's
hood
a
rap
tale as
things
old
with
as time.
his friends.
yeah.
Okay.
That's what it boiled down to.
That's
It
the way
had
I
nothing to do with
I-
it.
Doesn't mean that they didn't have partially a part of an
I
influence.
agree.
It's just like when people say like it's drill music or man, it's like man, shut up.
Yeah.
That's how I be feeling too.
But like
man.
you just made bad decisions. Don't put it on the art.
I'm not mad at y'all, man. It's
Yeah.
just it's
Doing
good.
hood rap things with his friends.
Y'all ready? To
He's
Yeah,
mad.
that's what you-
I ain't mad. All right, man. shout out to everybody that was in the chat tonight. I'm not gonna say you guys are active now, but we
But
appreciate
they
y'all.
are. It's just about telling the truth.
You sound like Will Smith. NewOrleans.com for all the education you need this year. If you see it, like it, subscribe to it, share it. We appreciate y'all support as always, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Yeah.
See y'all. Appreciate you.